beautiful music by our own local Chava Morel. And I believe it's on page 358, but I'm going to double check that for you. And I'll hum the melody while we get there. Oh, 358, I was right. Yes. Always fun. So join with me. All those altos, come join me. Achat shalati beit Adonai. Achat shalati otavakesh. Shivti. Lachazot benoam Adonai, to gaze upon the beauty of
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And Shana Tova. We're still amidst this beautiful season of the High Holy Days. We're still amidst the joy and the elation, and where our spirits are still elevated as we come closer to the divine and closer to each other. We're supposed to still remain on the tips of our hearts and the tips of our tongues, this feeling of awakening for the shofar, and start more so as we move each day closer to Yom Kippur, to build a bit more cognizance of our forgiveness, of our awareness, which I'll talk more about in a minute, of our own being in growth in the new year. This Shabbat is called Shabbat Shuvah, Shabbat of return, named as such for the reading from the prophets tomorrow morning. But it's a Shabbat that brings us together in the midst of the high holidays, sometimes bringing in some high holidays music, bringing in some high holiday prayers to help us stay elevated. So we don't just say, oh, Rosh Hashanah happened, let's just head back to life. Let's just stay in the moment as long as we can. So to that end, before we do candles, I want to actually offer a poem about Shabbat Shuvah, and then we'll light the candles to bring in Shabbat. Excuse the lingering cough. This is by poet Dane Cutler, a poem for Shabbat Shuvah. And God says you cannot do the work every single second of every single day, which is why we set aside night and day in the middle of the big week just for you. To sleep unhurried, to eat well, to bask in familiarity, because this is where community happens. This is where we are born and reborn each and every week, where we hold each other together. There is no work without holding each other. And God says that in the days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, everything will seem a little sweeter, a little crisper, and even the weather might cooperate. And the world will brush herself off and show you how wondrous she can be. So you'd better rise to her level and do the work. And God says, for those of you who are scrambling because the work is not finished enough, for those with lingering, unsaid apologies on their lips, for those who cannot bring themselves through the pain of Mitzrayim, the narrow places, from the wilderness to forgiveness, you don't get to give up now. I stopped making things perfect after I made light and water. This is only what we get to do together. This is the day in between the holy days. You don't get to stop. Let's keep that sacredness about ourselves tonight as we welcome in Shabbat. And for those of you at home who'd like to light Shabbat candles with us, please, you're welcome to. Rachel, if you help us light the Shabbat candles here, we'd be ever so grateful. And on page number 2, let's bring in Shabbat with the lighting of the candles. You got it. See a couple of arms.
Vayehior. And there was
Vayehior.
light.
We'll get that eventually.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Shabbat shalom.
Let's sing into Shabbat on page 14, Or Zaru.
Which seems only appropriate with all these conversations about light. So, Or Zarua. I'm going to help teach it again. This is one we've been working on together. We've got that bass part you can hear. Bum, biddy, biddy, 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 bum, biddy, biddy. Try it. Biddy, biddy, bum, bum, biddy, biddy, bum, biddy, biddy, bum, biddy, biddy, bum, and na 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 na. Na 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 I'm giving you lots of options. Or Zarua la tzadik Ulehi shrei lev simcha di-di-di-di bum di-di-di. Or Zarua la tzadik Ulehi shrei lev simcha bum bidi-bidi bum bidi-bidi bum bidi-bidi bum biddy biddy bum biddy 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 bum biddy biddy bum biddy biddy bum biddy biddy bum biddy bum biddy biddy bum biddy 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 bum. Beautiful. All right, well, we'll work on that. We'll have the whole group going soon. Beautiful. We move from that melody of Or Zarua to the words of Lechad Odi, which can be found on page 20 We'll do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And when we do get to that last verse, we'll invite you to rise if you would like, if it's your custom to welcome Shabbat. L'chad Odi, page 20.
Shemo echad, L'Shem ultiferet, velitchila. Yalalai, yalalala l'echad odi, yalalala l'ikrat kala, yalalala v'nei Shabbat, v'nei Shabbat nekavela.
Verse 2.
Likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor haberacha, berosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machava techila. Yalalai, yalalala l'echad odi, yalalala l'ikrat kala, yalalala v'nei Shabbat, v'nei Shabbat nekavela.
Verse 5.
Hitoreri, ki va'orech kubi hori, shir daveri, kevod Adonai, alayich niglach. Yadadai, yadadadadai l'echad odi, yalalala l'ikrat kala, yalalala v'nei Shabbat, v'nei Shabbat nekavela.
If it is your custom and you are able, I invite you to rise. Verse 9.
Boi v'shalom, ateret ba'ala, gam besimcha, ub'tzola, toch emunei, am segula. Boi chala, boi chala. Yalalai, yalalala l'echad odi, yalalala l'ikrat kala, yalalala v'nei Shabbat, v'nei Shabbat nekavela.
we remain standing on page 28, and we enter our evening service with Baruch Hu. We welcome you to join us as we begin our evening prayers together. Page 28. If you're standing, please be seated. Page 30, Ma'ariv Aravim, the one who creates the evening. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gate, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. The nights of oath is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Ma'ariv Aravim. Page 32, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha hafta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shokbeinu uvkumeinu, nasiach behukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu ve'orech yameinu, uvahem nehege yomam yomam v'layla, ve'ahavtecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Hamo Yisrael.
Page 34, the words of Shema. For those who choose to rise, we invite you to do so. For those who choose to remain seated, we invite you to do so. But our voices unite here, at home, wherever Jews congregate on this beautiful evening. Our voices unite together as one. you're standing, we are seated and joined together in Ve'ahavta on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם emet. As Rabbi Jason was mentioning that it's Shabbat Shuvah, and you may be able to tell, maybe the rabbis are a little wearier than usual. It's because there's been big things going on, of course, with the High Holy Day season. And my voice is maybe a hint more tired than it usually is. But the words of Micha Mocha, I feel like, are so powerful in this moment of Shabbat Shuvah, because I think it really embodies that idea that we have to keep moving forward. The sea is before us. We have to go. And we have to keep pushing through. And we can't get cold feet and run backwards because that's not an option. So we have to keep going forward, and the only way out is through. And so as we sing these words of Micha Mocha, find whatever it is that's helping you as you push through this push into Yom Kippur, these moments of introspection, whatever is helping you to push. Let's sing full of that energy as we share in the words of Micha Mocha together. Page 40. Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
so wonderful to have our service beautified by our amazing musicians. Yes, so much love and warmth and gratitude to Sean Weaver and Alex Chadsey, who are helping to beautify our service tonight, and helping us with a little extra music for introspection as we move through this period. So beautiful, beautiful. Thanks for helping us through the sea. Yeah, Yasher Koach. We can offer a Yasher Koach. Yasher Koach. Beautiful. And so from these words of Micha Mocha, we turn to the Amidah, to this prayer that is so central in our tradition. And believe it or not, a lot of the things that get added to the High Holy Day prayers get added into the Amidah. We add them into that section and kind of elongate it. Now, we aren't going to do all the penitential prayers tonight, I promise. That's not Shabbat Shuvah's thing. But there are going to be some additions in here that do look familiar from the High Holy Day prayers. So just a heads up, if we stop and chant one of those, that's why. If you are able, I invite you to please rise for the recitation of the Amidah. We start on page 46. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up our lips that our mouths may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekone Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava. Zochrenu Lechaim, Melech Hafetz B'chaim, V'chotvenu B'sefer HaChaim, Lemancha Elohim Chaim. Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atarav le'oshia, Morid hatal. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishene afar, Micha mocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memid, Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Micha mocha av harachamim, Zocher yetzurav, Lechaim, Lechaim berachamim, Lechaim berachamim. V'ne'eman atah lechayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, HaMelech HaKadosh.
We continue with a moment of silent prayer. If you use the words in the book, again, we note the inclusions for Shabbat Shuvah. Once you've completed the time that you need to connect with the divine, you're welcome to be seated. page 253, a prayer for healing. We invite you to name those in your homes, your families, your communities around the world. Think of all who struggle, all who battle, all who take that little bit of extra energy to stay healthy, to find comfort or peace. We battle many things, illnesses of the body, illnesses of the mind, external pressures that lead us to feel unworthy, lead us to feel unsure, sometimes unsafe. But with the power of prayer, song, community, and action, we can help each other grow. We'll help each other overcome. We can let those who struggle know they do not have to go through it alone. So we ask you to share names, those at home and those in person. Share names aloud if you choose. By saying someone's name, we hear them, we call them, we know there is an identity, a person there. We're not just saying it because we can, but we're saying it to raise them in their very being aloft for us all to hear, for us all to care for. I invite you to share names for our prayer for healing at this time.
I'm going to use this mic so I can cough without having to turn the microphone on and off. Keep the mask on, keep everyone else healthy. The Hasidic tradition brings us the following story. One day, Rav Bear was walking with some of his students, and he saw a little girl standing behind a wall, and she was crying. "Why are you crying, little girl?" Rav Bear asked. She answered, "I was playing hide and seek with my friends, and they didn't come to look for me." Rav Bear sighed and said to his students, "In that girl's reply, I hear the sadness of the Shekhinah, the divine presence, which hides its face. I hide, as it were, and no one came to look for me." In this week's Torah portion, Vayelech, almost at the end of the Torah portion, the very short Torah portion, only 30 verses long, sandwiched in between the flowery discourse of Nitzavim and the farewell poem of Ha'azinu. Moses prepares to hand over leadership to Joshua. One would think of a message of comfort and assurance, yet Moses urges Joshua and the people to be strong and resolute, because God actually warns Joshua in his leadership that the people will fall into idolatry, and when they do, verse 18, I will hide myself from you. You will be not able to see me. Rabbi Audrey Korotkin notes that the text here repeats the word hidden twice, which is a biblical tool of emphasizing that idea. The Hasidic tale puts God's warning in an everyday scenario. The game of hide and seek only works if the seekers look for the hider. But let's also keep in mind the other tacit rule of the game. The hider shouldn't hide so well that they cannot be found. Why would God hide from us? After everything the people have been through, for all the second chances the people given in the wilderness, why does God now say, when the people turn to idolatry, God's going to hide? And why would the Hasidic masters focus on this attribute of God, especially in the midst of the high holy days, when we glorify God's greatness over and over again? Is hiding actually a quality of Judaism itself? Consider. Adam and Eve hid in the garden. Cain hid Abel. Lot hid from his family. Jacob hid from his brother. Joseph hid from his brothers. Moses and Esther hid their identities. Joshua's spies hid in battle. David hid from Saul. Jonah hid from God. And this isn't even getting into our history of hiding from all sorts of enemies throughout the centuries, and the larger concept of hiding our identity for various reasons. However, now let's consider that hiding, even God's hiding, is not so hostile or detrimental. God's hiding might actually try to teach us a lesson about what we see and what we do not. Consider a verse from last week's Torah portion, Nitzavim, which asks us the question about where Torah can be found. And the answer, especially in this new year, is this. Surely the Torah, which I have given you this day, is not too baffling for you, nor is it beyond your reach. It is not in the heavens. It is not in the sea. No, this thing, this Torah, is very close to you. It is in your mouth and in your heart to observe it. The Torah is very close to you. Or said another way, the Torah isn't hiding from you up on a mountain or far away in some sacred temple. What you think is hidden far from you might actually be nearer than you realize. A third story. This one attributed to Rabbi Joshua ben Chanina. Once Rabbi Joshua was walking on a road seeking his way to an unfamiliar town. He met a young boy at the crossroads. Imagine it almost like the scene in The Wizard of Oz. Rabbi Joshua asks, "Which way is the town?" The boy points his finger to the right and says, "That road is near and far." And he points to the left road and says, "That road is far and near." What? Rabbi Joshua ben Chanina, clearly not one for riddles, took the road to the right, the one that was near and far, thinking it was shorter, because he stopped listening after the word near. Yet soon the rabbi discovered his way was obstructed by fruit gardens with high fences. Tired and frustrated, Rabbi Joshua returned and found the boy who had given him the directions. "Did you mislead me?" a grumpy Rabbi Joshua admonished. "You did not take heed of my directions," the boy responded respectfully. "Did I not say that the road to the right is near and far? It is the nearer road if you ask about the distance on the map. But because of the garden barriers, it is the further, involving more time and effort to reach. I told you the other road was far and near. It is further on the map, but nearer because it is clear and unobstructed. Rabbi Amy Perlin interprets this story in light of this topic for Shabbat. Just as God tells us in Deuteronomy that Torah is not far from us, we too are often like the impatient Rabbi Joshua, asking for directions or asking for things, asking for connection, but not truly listening to them, looking around for something in the distance that might actually be closer than we think. Too often we don't hear someone out or fully see the situation before we act and jump to conclusions. God doesn't only say the answer is close to you. God says the Torah is in your mouth and in your heart. It is hidden from plain sight because it is inside our being, easy to find. When we come to the synagogue on the High Holy Days, when we ask for forgiveness for all sorts of things that we did, often involving the long way through the fences and the orchards and the obstacles, or hiding from others, or hiding from the hard truths, we often look for big and fancy and complicated solutions. But often what's hiding right in front of us is the most unobstructed path forward. Ultimately, it takes longer to remedy a detour than have followed a straight path that was filled with kindness, compassion, patience, understanding, and awareness. This is not just limited to Shuvah, repentance, on these High Holy Days. There may be many occasions when something is so close we cannot see it. We miss what is hidden right in front of our eyes, be it God, a new friend, a solution to a problem, or something truly beautiful and often overlooked. Maybe this is something to try in the new year 5783, to be more aware or observance. Observance not only takes less time, but in the end it offers a better, clearer, unobstructed path. The little girl from the Hasidic story may find a way to the Shekhinah, the divine presence, not hiding in a game, but in many other moments of real joy with her friends. Rabbi Joshua would heed the riddle of the young boy and open his eyes to the path that would lead to his greatest joy, not the shortest route. Imagine what we might see, what we might better understand if we recognize what was close to us, as the Torah says in the text, or God's essence amongst us. Now, imagine how beautiful we would see and appreciate, and how much joy that would bring. Imagine how we could hold our heads up high and be in the moments, not looking down the path, but be in the moments, being present, being at ease. Imagine how incredible it would be to see the hidden blessings all around us. And then we ourselves could be in the Shekhinah, the divine presence. Aleinu L'Shabeach, page 282 at the top of the page. If you're able, we welcome you to rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונשבח והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
If you're standing, please be seated. 289. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows, it is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen, the flames dance, and our life burns down in gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more, and are no more seen, yet we do not despair. For we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. To be laid to rest in future days. Leatrice Schacht, wife of Merv, mother of Walter, Paul, Jenny, and Susan, mother-in-law of Seema, Julie, and Bertie, grandmother of Nathaniel, Benjamin, Sophie, and Samuel. We're in the period of Shuvah, the 7 days of mourning, for Barbara Spivak, mother of Darcy McLaren. We're in the period of Shloshim for Riva Swartz, mother of Pamela and Brian, grandmother of Jason, Elisa, Amanda, and Eric, great-grandmother of Elena, Jonah, Lincoln, Mason, and Jordan. Herbert Zlotnick, husband of Pauline, father of Andy, Peter, and Ruth, Jeannie, Ronnie, and Richard, grandfather of Allison, Miriam, Emily, Matthew, Evan, and Susanna. We observe the yard site of Alan Becker, Sari Joyce Bennett, Frida Berman, Ben and Greg Bonds, Sally Boss, Harriet Lillian Broadwin, Chaya Burstein, Evelyn Dalkowitz, Egon Frankel, Beverly Gasner, Roy Golub, Phil Greenspun, Madeline Hesselholt, Abraham Aaron King, Anita Cohn, Herbert Cohn, Jane Kowals, David Lazarus, Peggy B. Levitt, Stanley Liss, Nancy Meltzer, Edwin Meyerhoff, Ralph Miller, Fritz Miller, Walter Moore, David Nathanson, Vera Nathanson, David Neubauer, Ruth Ringer, Lawrence Rogovoy, Fred Sanders, Hope Shapiro, Elise Sinsheimer, Barbara Spivak, Frank Stedman, Jean Sullivan, Mary Winger, Laurie Watson, Floris Warnick. If any names have been forgotten or mispronounced, we invite you to add them at this time. If you're in the first 7 days of mourning, you're welcome to rise. If you're in the first 30 days of mourning, you're welcome to rise. If you're in the first year of mourning, you're welcome to rise. If you're observing a yard site, you're welcome to rise. If it's your tradition to rise in love and solidarity, you're welcome to do so for the Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. And it isn't notated in the book, but I would point out 9 lines from the bottom where it says Le'ela. Often during this season of awe, we duplicate that word, Le'ela, Le'ela. 9 lines from the bottom. We begin at the top together. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah ve'alma divrach chirotei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dochol beit Yisrael b'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mivarach la'olam almei almaya Yitbarach, Vayishtabach, Vayitpa'ar, Vitramam, Vitnase, Vitadar, Vithale, Vithalal, Shemei, Dekutasha, Brechu, Le'ela, Ul'ela, Min Kol, Birchata, Vashirata, Tushbachata, Vanechamata, Da'amiram, Ve'alma, V'imru, Amen. Yehi Shalama Rabba, Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu, Ve'al Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Osei Shalom b'imromav, Huya Asei Shalom, Aleinu ve'akol Yisrael, ve'akol Yoshvei Tevel, b'imru, Amen. Yoshvei Tevel, all who dwell on the earth. Please be seated. We note that this Shabbat gathering is happening on coastal Salish land, specifically of the Duwamish tribe. As a community, we commit ourselves to learning more and continuing to actively support indigenous people and their tribes. Temple Beth Am offers a monthly donation to the United Indians of All Tribes Foundation. We also want to celebrate simcha moments, moments of joy and wonderfulness and giving and caring. And we have some other wonderful things to share. So if anyone has something wonderful, big or small, just something that's brought them happiness or joy in the past week, we love to share it so we can enjoy, bask in it, and maybe get to know each other as well. Anyone like to share a simcha from this past week? John. And repeat for those at home, a wedding anniversary. Mazel tov.
As well as family in
A
town.
family in
Amazing.
town. Please. Back together after a month of alternating travel. Hooray! I like that. Fostering a puppy you may keep. Good luck. Yay!
Pictures after.
Wonderful. All those joys and all those more joys. And I could add that you can also help share a joy and a bit of love with our community. This week we're doing our Healing Challahs. That's where we identify around 10 dozen-ish people in our community who have had something good or something not so good happen in their lives in the past month. I just got one because of the death of my grandmother. It was very touching. I wasn't even expecting it. My daughter will now have challah for breakfast.
French toast.
French toast. But there's some at the table outside, and we have directions, and we tell you where to go. All you have to do is go to the door and knock on it, say, don't just run away. Like, a couple years ago, someone refused to identify themselves at the door. Don't do that. I got a very angry phone call. There's a big poster with everyone's location, what part of town they're going. It's a wonderful mitzvah and a great thing to do to bring joy to someone on Shabbat. Kiddush Motzi, and let's bring it on home.
All righty.
Page 5 for Kiddush. For those of you at home, raise a glass with us all. I'm going to have you hold that tonight.
Good.
We probably shouldn't be drinking alcohol.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, ve'shavat kodshecha, ve'ahava uvratzon, hinchalatanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
L'chaim. Well, Rabbi didn't make sure it's a kosher blessing. We have a challah for one of you. Ooh, round
It's a
challah.
round challah. Mm-hmm.
We often use round challahs for the festival season, the cycle of the year, and the cycle of life. One of you is going to come up here to have a bite and bring the challah home with you. Not me, because I have my own. Anyone want a challah? Who wants a challah? Who wants a challah? It's yummy and tasty. Come on up, Kira. So together, if you're comfortable putting arms or elbows with those near you to draw closer together and no pressure, we break bread in this first Shabbat of the new year. Yay, new year. I just thought it was amazing. It's going to be it's going to be a good year.
You just get to eat the challah. Get to take a bite.
It's going to be a good year.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon.
Ooh, and Kira will take a bite while Rabbi Jason gets the bag. Thank you. Beautiful. Perfect. Thank you for doing that on behalf of all of us. Beautiful. And enjoy the French toast in the morning. Wonderful.
We thank Alex and Sean and Jamie and Ronnie and all of you for beautiful Shabbat Shuvah tomorrow morning, and all of the things of the high holidays, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, building the Sukkah, Simchat Torah, Fall Festival. We got a lot to do. It's good stuff, though. Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom Bimromav. I believe it's on 353.
That's what they said.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam.
Shabbat
Shabbat Shalom. Shana Tova.